Today's episode is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Renewal by Andersen offers you a better way to a better window. Go to RBACentralPADeals.com for this month's specials. 2 college students have been charged with abuse of a corpse. Meanwhile, Governor Tom Wolf has spent tens of thousands of dollars on private law firms and won't disclose why. A dog that was allegedly stolen from a Philly Wawa has been safely returned. And a man who was abandoned as a baby 90 years ago is slowly reuniting with his family. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in a PA. 2 students at the University of Pittsburgh have been charged with abuse of a corpse, reports Pittsburgh's Action News 4. Witnesses told police how last month in the anatomy lab located in the School of Nursing's Victoria Hall, Sunil Jimenez manually sexually assaulted a female cadaver while making comments. That same day, Amay Gupta also made mocking sexual comments while his hand was inside a male cadaver's chest. The university released a written statement confirming how the 2's actions were determined to be, quote, criminal in nature, unquote, after officials became aware of the situation. Jimenez's lawyer, Joseph D. Lento, has since released his own statement urging, quote, the public to withhold judgment of Mr. Jimenez until his criminal proceedings are complete. Both Jimenez and Gupta will face separate court hearings in January. Governor Tom Wolf has spent tens of thousands of dollars a year on private law firms and won't disclose why, reports Spotlight PA and the caucus via The Morning Call. Wolf's Office of General Counsel, which calls itself Pennsylvania's law firm, has shielded basic information about why he'd spend so much money on hiring these firms. In fact, over the past year, Wolf's administration has consistently blocked efforts by the news to publicly release those details. Firms that were hired were revealed, as were how much they were charged for some of their legal work, but not what cases, policy, or matters were involved. The administration has stated that this information is sensitive and therefore could jeopardize legal strategy if it was made public, making it exempt from Pennsylvania's open records law. And after a quote-unquote unproductive 6-month-long mediation started by Spotlight PA and the caucus, the state's Office of Open Records issued a final opinion that sided with the administration last month. Says the president of the National Freedom of Information Coalition, David L. Coulier, quote, a simple general description will do, but apparently Pennsylvanians will never know because they have to trust the government that all of the blacked out descriptions included sensitive information. It was November 15th in a parking lot of a Wawa in Philadelphia when Servo and Matt Burke found their car door open and their dog Theo gone, reports CBS Local Philadelphia. The couple began sharing photos of Theo on social media and flyers ever since, and days after the dog disappeared, they got a hit. Theo was spotted and safely returned back home. According to the Burkes, he lost 10 pounds, but he's doing quite well. Whether or not someone did in fact steal him remains unknown. It was 1932 when cops found a baby in a basket left abandoned on a doorstep in Pittsburgh, says PennLive. That baby was eventually adopted and grew up to be Jim Scott, who had no idea of his origins until he was 21. Then in 2016, his eldest daughter Marilyn caught wind that his Christmas wish for that year was to find his blood relatives. After doing some investigating through Ancestry.com, Jim has been reuniting with his family 90 years after he was found. He has a bunch of cousins and 2 half-brothers, one from his birth father and the other from his birth mother. Says one of them, Bob Lobham, of their first phone conversation to the Tribune Review, quote, "Are you incredibly handsome?" I asked. When Jim answered yes, Bob replied, quote, "Well then, you're my brother." That wraps up today's episode. For even more Pennsylvania news and otherwise, visit PennLive.com. Also, please remember to rate this podcast on either Apple or Amazon and to share it around with your family and your friends. Thanks ahead of time, and of course, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another round of Today in a PA. Today's episode is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Renewal by Andersen offers you a better way to a better window. Go to RBACentralPADeals.com for this month's specials.